Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Glamma's Closet. If you don't know the couple next to me, this is the couple next to, oh, look, I'm pointing in the right direction. This is Camilla, the Fi Resellers. Hi, Camilla. Hi, Khang.
Hi.
Hi,
Thanks
guys.
so much for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on the show tonight. I just wanted to, let's take a minute and say hi to the chat. It looks like Dennis Nichols was the first, and I know he's at work, so hi, Grandpa. Oh, Veronica Mitka. Okay, so Ronnie said she was the first. So, there you go, honey. I'm not sure, but you were the first. You were the first non-Nichols, so that counts. Aunt Boo says, "Hello, friends. Excited to hear from this adorable reselling couple." Yes.
Oh.
Let's see. Card Shop Reality. That's Ryan. Hi, Ryan. Welcome. Hi. Dodo twice in the sun. Hi, Dodo. She said not first. Yeah. Well, you know. Let's see. So we have Andrea Haynes. Hi, Andrea. Hi, Andrea. And then Margaret's Market. Hi, Margaret. So if you guys don't know, the Fi Resellers are I believe the name came about because the Fi stands for financial independence. So they are not, in fact, the fire resellers, which some people will put in the chat. I noticed. I mean, you are fire, you're fierce, but yeah. But they are the Fi Resellers, the financial independence resellers. So we're going to be talking about their journey together because they resell as a couple. Hi, Chloe. Hi, Rachel. Raquel. Hi, Raquel. Hi, Chloe. Oh, 6-page midterm essay due tonight. Ugh.
Oh boy,
that's awful. I know. So anyway, just wanted to just sort of give you guys a little bit of a soft introduction. How long have you guys been married?
Almost a year.
Yeah. It'll be a year in April.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be a year in April?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we're about 2 months out now.
Yeah.
April 10th.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So still within the first year.
Yeah.
So you're still in the honeymoon phase. You're still in the early days.
Still figuring things out, trying to not step on each other's toes, you know?
Yeah.
I can tell you after 25 years, there's still some gray area there. Now, did you save the top of your cake after your wedding? Did you put it in the freezer and are you going to try to eat it? Okay. Yeah. Did somebody really air pack it tight for you?
I don't know. It's just in a cardboard box.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
It's just in our freezer, so I'm not really sure. We'll have to just let it. I mean, it was really good cake at the time, so I'm sure that it would be really good cake. Anyway,
it was really good mayonnaise before I put it in the sun too. I got to tell you guys, be careful about that cake. Just I spent a lot of years in the wedding business, and I'm telling you that year-old cake can give you have Khang eat it, try a bite first, and then wait 2 hours and see what happens.
Yeah, I'll be the taste tester for sure.
Yeah, we'll have to do that. We'll have to look at it. I even if it's not very good, we'll maybe go back to the bakery and get a little cupcake.
Yeah, that's usually. I think a lot of bakeries are doing that now, where they do hi Crazy Mate, where they do rather than have you save the cake topper, they'll do like a recreation of it, or like a miniature version of your wedding cake. Mm-hmm. Carrie said we did the cake topper and ate a bit of it, but it was not packed properly.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's where sometimes we run into. So I'm just and so can you guys talk a little bit about as part of the intro? Some of the recent changes that have happened in your lives as resellers and as a married couple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we announced early January, that I was going to be a full-time reseller. Mm-hmm. I'd quit my job and moved into full-time reselling. And we also announced that we're having a baby in June. So kind of both of those things.
I wasn't going to say it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do the spoiler for you.
Yeah. So that was kind of, we found out that we were pregnant in the fall. And then, that helps us make the decision into, January for me to quit my job so that we can build up this reselling business so that, by the time the baby actually comes, we have more kind of an established full-time, income opportunity rather than what we had been before. So we had been reselling part-time, I think for about 2 years before that, or like a year and a half, really kind of seriously. But so it's kind of interesting to move into this new space of like, okay, now I'm at like working at home and, from there becoming a mom and then, being able to be at home with our baby. So yeah.
That's a lot. And Khang, you're still working full time in the corporate environment, correct?
Yeah, that's right. So we've actually been planning this for quite some time. We always thought that it was a possibility when Camilla started this originally, and I thought, wow, this is a really good and flexible thing as we got more into the community and learning about how many people do it full time. So I currently still work and plan to work, just for insurance and all those other reasons. We're not quite ready to make the jump for both of us.
Yeah, I'm so excited for you. Aunt Boo, Carrie, my sister, she said that's a really cute quilt in the background. Carrie, I think that was actually a gift.
Yeah, it's a gift.
Yeah, the Hoogs gave it to us in October. We were in Boise for my brother's wedding, and we met up with them, and we got like bagels and coffee with them. And later they went to a garage sale that day and found this quilt and thought, that we would like it. So they dropped it back off for us. And so it was funny because I think that they thought we were going to sell it. But then we were like, we want to keep it.
Yeah, it's perfect. Because even at that time, our family didn't even know.
It was like brand new. We had just found out that we were pregnant, and they gave us this quilt, and it was like, oh, we can keep this for our baby. Which anytime we're at like the bins or wherever, we're like, oh, this is so cute. We'll keep it for the baby. We'll keep it for the baby. So we have like
that's
so
how
many
you end
things.
up with a ton of
Yeah. So
we need to have I feel like we should have like a reseller baby shower show for you.
Oh,
I think that would be so
That'd be
cute.
fun.
I know. Yeah. Well, your Glamma may end up planning something like that, but I think that would be so fun. So Chloe said a baby Fi. It's like baby Fi, and then a June baby. Are you due in June?
Yeah.
Aw. Hi, Shannon. Hi, Out Country. I didn't get a chance to say hi. Boy or girl? I don't think. Would you know that yet? Or is that something that we're not really doing
Yeah, we're not telling everyone the gender.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Secret.
It's a secret.
And Chloe likes the idea of the reseller baby shower. And she loves a Gemini.
Oh, so fun.
Yeah, it's smart to shop for baby at the bins, though. I wish I would have done some of that. Yeah. Amen. Yeah. So just as a couple, how did you guys meet? Like where did you meet?
Okay, so we met through a church event where we were on a committee together that, we were planning kind of a speaker series, and we just, I don't know, kind of met through, I was in an organization and she was working at the church at the time. And so there was a bunch of churches getting together to plan all these events throughout Houston, because Houston is quite large. And so it was a pretty big committee, and we got together. At first, I didn't know if she was single, so I was very hesitant. And then, I later found out that she was single, and lucky me, right? So that's kind of the whole start of it. Boy meets girl, ask her out on a date, and then kind of that's
yeah.
So how did you propose? What was the proposal like? Was it like a big production? Was it like a very small, quiet moment?
was a very small, quiet moment. I had been planning it for a little while. I had asked her parents, kind of like the traditional thing
Mhm.
for I, uh, approval, I guess, really,
Mhm.
permission to ask her, and um, we're going right before the pandemic. It was right before the pandemic. We went to Norway
Mhm.
in March of 2020,
Mhm.
right? And it was a very intimate setting where it was in front. It was kind of in a small, um, kind of lounge area.
Yeah, it was at a hotel. So we
Mhm.
were staying at this like mountain
Mhm.
hotel near, so we
That
had gone
sounds
to
cool.
Norway to go skiing at Lillehammer, which is where they had like I think the 1990 Olympics or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
and so we were going there, and my parents were there, and we were meeting them and my sister and her husband. And so it was this little kind of hotel that was very like what you imagine, like if you just
Like
imagine like
ski
a
lodge.
mountain,
Yeah,
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 like a ski
Yeah.
lodge, sort of like wooden skis on the wall.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of like
Oh, I
gets you.
love that.
And so it was the morning. We got there, I think, on Saturday afternoon, and it was the Sunday morning. And in the hotel, they had like a lounge area and like a little bookshelf, library area sort of thing. And it was like two connected rooms. So my family was in the other room, and we were in like the library room.
Yeah. And I told her, hey, I need to talk to you because it was right after breakfast. We were trying to make
Hmm.
plans, and I said I needed to talk to you. And I was pretending to be a little upset because she knew that if
Yeah, because it
I
was like we were gonna go to this other part of town, and he wanted to take the bus, and my mom wanted to take a
Uh-huh.
cab, and so we would have to spend more money on the cab. So I was like, oh no, he's gonna be like, I really wanted
Oh,
to
here we
spend
go.
money,
Yeah.
like oh man. So I'm like, oh great.
and so
That's
so I took
hilarious.
her
That's
to
so
the bookshelf because she loves reading, and so
Mhm.
it would make a pretty good backdrop. And so I led her there and had her face the books to distract her because I knew she would want to read what was on, some of the titles. And so I
right.
stepped back a little bit, and then I got down on one knee,
Mhm.
and the rest is history.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and you
Really
you
nice.
did say yes, right? I mean,
Mhm.
no, I'm
Yeah,
joking.
yeah.
she she had her family there,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it was a done deal.
Oh,
yeah.
that's so
It was
cool. That's
yeah,
yeah, pressure's on no pressure.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
that's awesome. I love that. That's a
yeah,
great story.
yeah.
And now you are married and you've been married for almost a year, you said,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and anniversary's in April. Um, just uh just a quick question then. Were you reselling before you got married?
Mhm.
Were either of you into that?
Yeah, so originally how we started reselling was um in the fall of 2019, I started a an Instagram account to sell like vintage items and kind of things like that. So I
Mhm.
started this Instagram account, and I would post things on there, but not everything would sell, obviously, because it's a lot harder to sell on Instagram because you're limited by the audience that you have, the number of followers.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not like a super like I don't know, self-promoting person by nature. So I kind of posted it once on my regular Instagram, and then that was about it. And so I had like not very many followers. So I wouldn't sell everything on there. And so I started looking for other ways to sell these leftover items, that people weren't
Mhm.
buying. And so I started posting those items on Poshmark. And then I started looking into like once I started doing that and I got sales from it, I was
Uh-huh.
like, oh, this is kind of fun. And so then I started looking at the like YouTube and all of that. And that was about the time when we were coming back. And, it was COVID and all this stuff. So once kind of we were able to go back out to stores and things, I had watched enough YouTube to be like, we should go to this place called the Goodwill Outlet and we should, buy more stuff and resell it and like all this kind of stuff. So I'd learned enough, watching these YouTube channels to know like this is what I want to do. And so thinking about May, I guess, was when we actually went out to the Goodwill Outlet and like picked up all this stuff. So I started, listing it all on my Poshmark. And then in about August, that was when I started on eBay. And between then, Khang had started his own Poshmark closet because he had seen that I was like making money. So he was like, well, I want to make some money too. And so we would kind of split, we would go like one time for my closet, and then the next time we would go and we'd source for his closet. And then in about August, when we started in on eBay, we were like, we should just combine into one. It doesn't make sense that we're dividing this out. And at the time, I was living with 2 roommates in a house, and so I basically just had my room. Like one of my roommates owned the house, and then I was like renting a room from her basically. And so I didn't have much space, so I kept all of my stuff at Khang's house anyway. Like he had a house, like he owned a house, so I had all my stuff here. And I would do all the reselling stuff at his house. So I was like, it doesn't really make sense that like we would have this separate. So we combined at that point, and then that was when we divided out like who was doing what. So at that point, then Khang took over taking pictures and shipping, and then I would do the actual listing. So he would like upload the drafts, and then I would do the research, list things, and then I would inventory things as well, and then we would source together. So that was kind of when we started to split the tasks, which was really nice because then we could do it separately, even if we weren't spending time together or, all of that. So,
and it's more efficient that way too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That sounds like a good division of labor. Do you guys still have that same system, or have things changed since Camilla's at home more now?
Yeah. So that was the system all the way up until just recently when I went full time. So like even when, we were married, that was mostly what we would do. Occasionally we would kind of like, if, Khang was busy, I would take pictures or we would ship together, things like that. But then now that I'm full time, I do the pictures and the inventory and then all of that. And then I help him ship in the evenings sometimes when I remember and all that kind of stuff. But mostly he's the shipping manager.
I like that.
Yeah.
Shipping manager.
Yeah. And then now I know. Yeah, because I feel like he's better at that kind of like, I can ship clothes and shoes, but like anything other than that, I'm like, I don't even know where to start. I don't know how to do this, and I don't know how to do it so it doesn't like break or whatever. And so he just has a better
unboxing.
Yeah, I know. It's like I'm totally beyond my scope of stuff. So yeah.
That's why I'm shoveling all my hard goods out the door. I'm like, I've got the last of them. I'm getting rid of it at an auction tomorrow night because I'm like, I can't Frankenbox one more thing. It's going to drive me crazy. Or like a box in a bag that drives me nuts.
Yeah, I can't do it.
So selling on eBay is a little bit different than selling on Poshmark. I mean, they as far as like what's required. Do you guys offer like free shipping, or do you never offer free shipping? Do you sometimes?
So we pretty much never offer free shipping. We do calculated shipping on eBay.
It's actually kind of nice because we estimate, we don't really ever weigh our items, especially clothing, because we know that it's generally under 1 pound. So we estimate, if it's under 8 ounces, then we'll give it a guess. And sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. We split the difference on it, and on average, we come out on top. So it's pretty decent way to do it.
Yeah.
Do you do you predict how much it's going to cost to ship?
Yeah. So you don't have to predict how much it's going to cost to ship. You just have to predict how much it weighs.
Okay.
Unless it's like, if you're selling clothes and shoes, like most of the time for like shirts, I'll put, 12 ounces or 15 ounces, like it's going to go first class. For anything heavier than that, like sweaters, skirts, pants, I usually put them either in a padded flat rate if they're small enough. Like pants always go in a padded flat rate. Most women's sweaters can go in a padded flat rate, but then like men's sweaters and some coats and things like that will need to go priority mail. And then I just kind of estimate how heavy I think it is. So, do I think it's 1 pound? Do I think it's 2 pounds? Same with shoes. Some shoes you can fit in those padded flat rate envelopes. And those I just, put that on there. But like men's shoes, boots, things like that, I just kind of say, okay, boots are probably like 3 pounds, 4 pounds if they're like Doc Martens, or whatever it is. And then
Doc Martens, they feel like 20.
I know, they're so heavy.
They're so heavy.
And then with our hard goods, like if it's really heavy, we'll weigh it. Like we recently sold some golf clubs, so we'd weighed those ahead of time, measured them. Well, we measure everything in our list. Most things we'll measure in our listings anyway. So then you can put in the dimensions. Like if it's going to be over, whatever kind of basic dimension there might be on, a priority mail thing, we'll put in those dimensions because that will also change the price.
Mm-hmm.
I have a little pair of kids golf clubs, but they're like real golf clubs, so they're actually kind of heavy. And I was wondering, I was like, do I post those on eBay or do I just give them to my grandson and hope that he doesn't knock my windows out? Because I honestly don't know. They're so awkward to ship. So Khang is the Frankenbox king. I know who to ask now if I have Frankenbox questions.
You might consider,
I don't
just posting it on Facebook Marketplace as a local pickup.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I should have thought that. That's a good idea. I haven't sold on Facebook Marketplace yet, so I'm trying to sneak up on it a little.
Yeah, a good way to start is with the local pickup, because I think that Facebook Marketplace limits the amount of like shipping that you can do if you've never sold something locally before. So that is a good way to start because it kind of establishes that you're like a good person on Facebook Marketplace. Sell a couple of things locally first. So if you're thinking about doing it, I would definitely list something.
So do they Venmo you the money and you give them the thing, or you meet up with them somewhere like at the cop shop or something? I say police station because I think that's a smart. And then just give them the cash and or they give you the cash and you just like an exchange, like a yard sale.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to give that a whirl.
Yeah.
Now, what are your top things? What are your favorite things to source when you go sourcing? And I'm going to ask each of you to give your own answers because I feel like sometimes the answers aren't the same.
Yeah. I think one of our favorite things to find are really love finding Lululemon. That's one of my favorite things. I always feel like I'm like accomplished when I go to the bins and I find Lululemon. And Johnny that's the other one that I feel like if I can find like one of those two, I feel like it's a good trip to the thrift store, and that's really good. But other than that, I really like finding like vintage items, like weird kind of things that I didn't know were really valuable and things like that. So like we sold a Gunny Sacks dress and then a couple like Gunny Sacks style dresses that have been really good. So things like that where it's kind of like you wouldn't think that this would be that good, and then it really is, and it kind of blows your mind. So those kinds of things. But yeah, most of the time, like honestly, because we source at the bins, like we're looking at everything, and so it's really kind of like I really like when I find something and it like I look it up and the price surprises me. Like it's something new that I'm learning. So I feel like that's my favorite thing when I have something that I've never gotten before, never found before. Like today I found, for the first time ever, I found a sweater by Cezanne. And so that was like, so exciting because I was like, I get to like check something out. Nice. It's amazing. Yeah. I don't know.
That's a great pickup. What's your favorite thing, Khang, to
For
source?
me, well, Camilla already took Lululemon. For some reason, Lululemon will forever be on my list of things to find every single time we go to the thrift store, because it was one of the first items that I sold in my closet. When we had things separate over a year ago, and that's what got me hooked, because it was like, oh my gosh, I need to find more of this. We need to sell more of this.
Like the first time he went to the bins for like to source for his own closet, we found I think 6 pairs of like Lululemon, and they were really nice, like Wonder Unders, Aligns. Like, I mean, like really good. Like, and they were like in pristine condition, and so he was
Of course they were.
addicted.
Yeah. I also remember finding a dress by Poupette St. Barth, and we don't know anything about, designer clothing
I've
at
never
that
heard of
point. And,
Mhm.
I did the comp on it, and I thought, well, that seems pretty good. And it felt nice. And it took a little while to sell, but I think we ended up selling it for over $100. And so, just stuff like that kind of burns a memory into your brain that you'll always be looking for more of. But
yeah, they get you on the comeback. That's how they. They're like a dealer. They get you on the. They make the first one so tasty. They get you to come back.
Yeah,
I know.
The first one's always free. Yeah.
Right, the first one's free.
And so
it is so funny.
I think nowadays, though, I have really liked kind of our branding. So every time we find a quote that's like, oh yeah, that's great. We
Don't
love
sleep
talking
on.
about it. Yeah, don't sleep on quotes. And so Camilla was the one that originally found, our first quote that sold for significant money. And I thought, well, no one's talking about this. We should make that part of our brand, because Camilla, originally found it and really loved selling it. And then we started doing the research and things like that. So now I'm always looking out for bedding and quotes and things like that.
Yeah, we feel like we're the only people at the bins who ever look at the blankets and the bedding and stuff. Like everyone else just is like moving it out of the way, and we are like looking at all the tags.
Like, yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Yeah.
But it's good. You guys have done so great with the quilts. And by the way, PS quilts, speaking of quilts, the Hoogs are in the chat. Hi, Hoogs. Hi. And the quilt behind Camilla and Khang has already gotten, that fertility blanket is wonderful. That's a joke. My grandma used to call anything with like an ABC or like a baby, or like a kid theme to it. She's like, oh, a fertility blanket. I'm like, oh, here we go. Yeah, she just thought she was hilarious. So we've talked about things that are our favorite things to resell, but now we're going to talk about maybe we're going to tiptoe into an area that, okay, what was a stinker that your partner picked up that you were like, oh, you're like, I hate that you sourced that so much and then didn't sell. And Khang, I'm going to start with you.
Well, Camilla is always picking up vintage clothing, which she loves, but sometimes it doesn't sell. And so I'm like, you've got a whole closet. Are you sure you want to get more of this stuff? Yeah,
I think what's hard about it is that I have this Instagram that I kind of set aside, so I would pick up vintage things to sell on this Instagram account, except that from the beginning of the Instagram account, I have a mannequin and I would model the clothes. So it's a lot more effort than like on eBay. We just like do the hanging flat lays and just like, it's kind of a system that we have. So I have this like backlog of things that I need to post on my Instagram, but it's just like, it's work. And then now I don't fit into any of the clothes. So I'm kind of like, I don't want to do anything. So anyway, now we're just going to post it all on our eBay and just like, try to get through it all. But yeah, I do have a bit of a death pile in terms of vintage items for sure.
To be fair though, there are a lot of great sellers probably in that lot of clothing that would sell on eBay.
Yeah.
That, is originally intended for this Instagram because it does go to charity. And that's just one of the things that she had planned on. And so I don't know, but we can't trust the sell-through rate because it's very hard to determine a sell-through rate for some of that stuff.
On vintage, you cannot. It's unpredictable. It's so unpredictable.
Yeah.
5 years ago, you would pay $60 for a piece of white glass, and a year ago, you couldn't give that stuff away, like milk glass. So you can never tell. But Camilla, I noticed in a couple of videos, maybe Khang had a pickup or two that you weren't all that fond of either.
Yeah, Khang has a habit of picking up, and I have a terrible memory for this kind of stuff. Like, I feel like once we film the video, or like we'll pick things up at the bins, and when we get in the car, I'm like, I couldn't name one thing that we bought. Like I could, you could quiz me and I could not name one thing. And then in the video, we'll be pulling them out and be like, oh yeah, we did get that. And then once the video's over, I'm like, I could still not name a single thing that we bought that day. Like, You cannot ask me. So I have a terrible memory for like specific things, but King has a habit of like, he just thinks something's cool. Like he'll be like, I think this is a cool shirt. And it's like a women's shirt. Like it's not like he would wear it or anything, but he just like thinks it's cool. And he'll be like, I think we can sell this. I think we should get this. And I'm like, I mean, I guess, you know, I usually, because I also do that, but I feel like maybe I personally think I know more about the market, you know.
You've been at it a little longer, and frankly, you've probably been picking out your own clothes longer than Khang. I hate to say that, but as a mother of 3 boys, I feel like, you know, I'm the one who did most of the shopping for them.
Well,
so
yeah, and it's like the women's clothes, so it's like I know more about the women's market just because I've been in the women's market my whole life, you know, like since being a teenager. So, so I know kind of the trends. I know what people are wearing. I notice that more than like he would. But then sometimes I am surprised. Like these things will sell, and I'm like, I cannot believe that there's someone out there who thinks that this ugly thing is cute. Like, I just don't understand.
I love it when that happens. That's the best.
I love it when a plan comes together. I get a lot of weird feedback from my friends when we go to the bins together, and they'll be like, look at this, it's J. Crew. And I'm like, no, it's not good. And they're like, really? And they're like, but you just picked up this, you know, orange vintage nylon zipper covered ugly thing from 1972 with daisies on it. And I'm like, that I bet it's going to sell. And Weird always sells.
Yeah.
Weird will sell every day of the week.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys have, I think you have a good give and take on your videos where, you know, you can see that you work really, really well together. And that's something that a lot of reselling couples, you know, will sort of aspire to. So I guess my next question would be, I guess, what are some of the things you've learned to be cautious of when you're reselling as a couple? Like what are some of the things that you're cautious about as far as the other person goes, when you're reselling and when you're working as like YouTube creators?
I think one thing that's been kind of difficult is to try to figure out whose fault is it when it comes to any particular mistake. Where it's difficult when you're working on a business together, that if something goes wrong, you're trying to fix the issue and not figure out necessarily who caused the issue, or so not look into the past, but look into how to fix it for the future, even how to prevent issues. And so I think that's something that we've been working on, and you know, we've been working on for a while, even before we got married. And so I think that that's actually made us better as part of a couple too. So not just as business partners, but also as a couple, where we're trying to figure out, you know, if someone makes a mistake in general, not just, you know, for the reselling, that we just try to work through it.
Yeah. Like not play the blame game of like, okay, who is the person that like made this mistake, but just like, okay, how are we going to resolve what's coming about because of it? So doing that. And I think also just knowing our own limits of like, I can only be in the thrift store for so long. So now, like we've gotten to the point where I will just like bring a snack and a drink, and I will just be like, okay, I'm going to go out to the car and sit in the car. You can keep thrifting. And like, I'm just going to sit there for a while and rest. And then I'll come back in when I'm ready. And then I think also like we do that on YouTube too. Like at a certain point, like we have to know that we're kind of like in the right space for whatever it is, so that we aren't like pushing ourselves too hard and then getting like, I don't know, overextended, I guess, within it.
Or aggravated, as we in my house we call it aggravated.
Yeah, exactly.
We get a little pissy with each other.
Yeah. So we don't like to record for long periods of time. It takes a lot of energy for us. And so if we record more than one video, the second video is almost always going to be a terrible or mediocre video, because we just don't have the energy and we're just not feeling it. And we do like to try to bring, you know, some level of energy to each of our videos.
Yeah. And then the other thing is just like not trying to micromanage each other. So like, because we have kind of separated tasks, you know, to have the other person, you know, kind of be like be the manager of that task rather than trying to manage it separately. And I think what also plays into that is like being accepting of each other in terms of like, like we source together. So part of like Khang picking up these weird things is that I have to be kind of like, well, yeah, if you want to pick it up and you've looked at the comps, like that's fine. Like you can pick this up, and the same with like our videos and all of that. And, like he has to accept the way that I'm going to list things and, what I'm picking up and stuff like that. So part of it is just like, okay, we want each other to be like our full selves within this business. So that means like supporting each other's choices and decisions within it. And being, rather than always looking for something to say like, oh, you should do it this way, you should do it that way, but to say like, I like the way that you're doing this. I like, your thought process here, things like that, to find like good things about the way that each of us engage in this business.
Yeah.
I like that.
Very careful about how to make process improvements because of that, where, in a way where we are trying to say, maybe you should consider doing it this way or that way, lay it on easy so that it's not saying you need to, but you should consider this, whether it be, if I want Camilla to, make it easier on herself, then I would tell her, this is how I've done it in the past to make it more efficient, make it easier for myself because I've gone through that, it's hurt my back or, all these motions because now she's doing the listings or she's taking the pictures. I did that for over a year. And so, if she's going to be doing it now and she's pregnant, then she needs to.
Yeah, there could be a point where that's uncomfortable.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like tomorrow, there could be a point. No, I'm joking. But yeah, seriously, you can get like it's pretty easy to like get uncomfortable when you're pregnant and the lights get hot. I can imagine, and yeah,
for sure.
So, so it sounds like you guys kind of learn from each other, and that you've been very patient with each other.
We try.
What are some of the benefits of reselling as a couple? I mean, as a couple.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been really good for our relationship just in general because it's like we have this project that we're working on together, beyond just like looking inward at ourselves of like, trying to improve our relationship or things like that. It's like we're working on something side by side. And so to have these goals and have these things that we're working towards, it helps us feel like, okay, we're a team. It's not just like us looking at each other, thinking about ourselves, but looking at something else and directing our attention that way. And so that's been really good. It's been really fun. And I feel like it's helped our relationship because it brings out different aspects of ourselves than like you would have just if we, had our free time and we would, go on dates to restaurants or whatever, like that sort of thing. It's a way of bringing out these different, kind of talents that we have and being able to see each other in a different light, I think.
So it's a nice office romance then, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Office romance. Crazy May has a question. She wants to know, do you sell on Depop as well as eBay or other platforms? We know about Poshmark and eBay. Do you sell on other platforms?
So we sell also on Mercari and Facebook Marketplace, but we don't sell on Depop. I'm kind of scared of Depop. I don't really know how it works. So I'm kind of like, I don't
You're
know.
Scared. I'm 50, girl. I don't even know. I just like, I should just call up my granddaughter and have her do all that.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, yeah, I haven't been cool. I wasn't cool in my 20s. I'm certainly not cool now.
We considered it for a hot second and that's it.
I mean, I think like I have things that would do well over there, but honestly, we struggle enough with having 4 platforms. Like I feel like I cancel a lot of sales because I've forgotten to delete them off of other platforms that I'm kind of like, I don't know. I think maybe I should be eliminating platforms rather than adding platforms at this time until I can get myself under control.
Yeah, I was talking with Chloe about doing Vendu, and I was like, I don't know. That sounds like a lot of extra work for me. I'm not trying to put more hours in.
Right.
Yeah.
So you are on a journey for, and if anybody in the, hi Stephen, hi Crazy May, if anybody in the chat isn't aware that you really are on a journey towards financial independence, and part of that has to do with they do, guys, not just reselling, but they also do. They're also talking about their investing, their reselling, and how that works. Can you talk a little bit about your investing and just a disclaimer to start with before anybody? Hi, Cameron. Before anybody says anything, Camilla and Khang are not stockbrokers, and this is not considered to be advice. This is just, but they are sharing their journey about what they're doing for their own financial independence. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the financial independence community, the FI community, or FIRE, Financial Independence Retire Early, is FIRE. And that community has a very similar thought process to what we've seen in reselling community, where they want to be able to do what they want at a pace that they want for their lives and be able to enjoy their lives, with the flexibility that comes with retiring early or reselling in the bridge of these two communities. And for us, we invest, and we have done just a pretty decent job, I think, to help inspire people with our videos of doing this total stock market index experiment, where we're encouraging people to look at their futures, look at their retirement, and try to plan ahead, because it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be something as small as $50 a week, or even $50 every other week, where you just kind of get into the practice of it and really see that your money can make you money. And so we want to inspire people, because finances and financial topics in general are kind of a taboo topic, especially when it comes to friends, or even in relationships in a lot of cases, where if we can normalize talking about finances, then it's all the better for everyone involved, because people are thinking about it consumes a lot of people's mental space if they're in debt, and so kind of on the other side of that, if they're out of debt, then they should be motivated to have the money make the money. And so that's kind of the basis of why we are kind of pursuing this financial independence, is that we want to have the freedom to do all of that. And with the baby coming, we want to be able to spend a lot of time with the baby and just be present, right? And so we find that the financial independence community and the reselling community really likes that. So we're trying to bridge the gap there. You got anything to add?
Yeah, I think the one thing about financial independence is really that it's about getting to the point where you have the freedom to work or not work for money. And so that's really the end goal. And so reselling is a way that we're getting there, in terms of, when we were both working full time, it gave us more income in addition to our full-time jobs. And now, instead of planning to stay at home and then not have an income, I have, reselling income. And then that enables us to continue to, invest. And eventually our goal is so that our investments earn enough that they cover that earnings piece covers our expenses each year. And so that would be at the point where we would be able to retire early. So that's kind of the ultimate goal, and that's still years away. But I think that there are a lot of different definitions of financial independence, financial freedom, all of that people take to mean, different things. So whether that means, that you're out of debt or anything like that. But to us, that's what financial independence means, where you have enough money invested or saved that you don't have to work for money at all. You don't ever have to, earn a paycheck from anyone ever again.
Yeah. And one version of what we are considering is that, reselling will retire early, and reselling will supplement that, so that we can only put in maybe 10 or 20 or 30 hours between the two of us and sustain our lives, and just let our investments continue to grow, maybe not even draw down from those investments.
Right.
So ideally living off of maybe a small percentage of the interest and none of the principal whatsoever.
Essentially.
Exactly.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Mhm.
Right now, I think I've reached that point in our marriage. Grandpa's still working on it, you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, financial independence helps me to be meal motivated, stress free. Hi, Jackson Roy Kirk, how you doing? Um, so I just think that it's interesting because some of us start reselling without a very clear financial path in mind.
Mhm.
And I think that, we end up doing, like, we're not really tracking our income and outlay and what we're doing with that income. And some people, use it to pay the bills, but I think the smartest thing to do is what you're doing, is to, continue to invest that money.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I
if
just think that's a good idea.
if you're able to, I think that's, like, instead of using it, like, sometimes I will sometimes think to myself, like, oh, I made, $20 on this, so that means I can, treat myself to a $20 meal or whatever. And so that can be a really dangerous way of thinking, is, to think about, like, this reselling income as like extra money just to do whatever with, when, like, really that's kind of not, to me, the best use of the money in terms of what I value in
Mhm.
overall. Like, overall, I value my time and my freedom more than I value, like, a meal at a restaurant,
Mhm.
or whatever it
Right.
is. And so really thinking about what my
Bartup's
values
gonna
are
hate to
in
hear
terms
that,
of,
he's
yeah.
Well, that's not to knock anyone who values
Right.
that, right? Because people value going out to a restaurant because they don't like to cook, but we like to cook, and it's like we
Mhm.
don't value that
Yeah.
experience as often because we
Right.
will easily drop, $100 with our family and
Uh-huh.
pay for our
Mhm.
family and say
Mhm.
that that meal with the family is worth the
Mhm.
time and the effort that we've put in to
Yeah.
make that money and be able to
Right.
drop rather than
Right.
$20 5 times just between
Right.
the two of us. And so
Right.
it's about valuing it a little differently too,
Right.
just thinking about it differently.
Yeah, because it's not like we never go out to eat. We definitely do go out to eat. We love, going to restaurants. We love
Mm,
going to concerts, things like that. Like, we spend money on, frivolous, quote unquote, frivolous things. But it's really about, not saying, okay, well, now that I'm making more, I can spend more on these frivolous things if it's not really filling, like, any sort of need or desire that I have within my life. And then using that money to be able to invest it so that in the future and even now I can live with more freedom, within my life of,
Yeah.
like, this was what enabled me to be able to resign from my job and do this full time and be able to work from home.
yeah.
And I would have never been able to do that if we didn't have this extra cushion in our investments and all of that, that we knew that this was a financially sound option for us.
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
And I
That
hope
is a
and I hope
huh?
everyone sees that Camilla is very much involved in this whole
yeah.
financial independence thing. She knows about, and if not more than I do, about financial independence. So we talk about it a lot.
Mhm.
They're going nuts in the chat about your wisdom as a young couple. It is incredible that you're that level-headed about it at this early age.
Mhm.
I'll remain respectful, deuces. Okay. Yeah, I'm not this um disciplined about that either.
Mhm.
Um, Luckily, I actually depend on my husband a great deal for most of, well, for a lot of that. Um, so Allie's telling Chloe put her money in the bank. So you mentioned that you cook at home. Who does the cooking?
We both do the cooking.
Yeah. Yeah.
We try to split it up, but when Camilla's tired or the baby is sucking up all our energy, then I'll do the cooking
Mhm.
lately. And then
Yeah.
when we were first starting to date, she didn't necessarily have a kitchen, even though
Uh-huh.
um,
Well, I did, but
she
I
didn't.
shared it with two other
Yeah,
people who
she
were
didn't.
also always cooking.
Yeah,
So,
she didn't have her own
Right.
space, and
yeah.
so I would do a lot of the cooking, and
Yeah.
it
Mhm.
was at that time very very good to just take care of her.
Mhm.
And when we got married, we split it up, and we do a lot of
Mhm.
meal preps and stuff too.
Mhm.
Try to efficiently do it at the beginning of the week so that we can eat it, leftovers throughout the week. And so now that we're going to have this baby, I would imagine that I'm going to be spending more time cooking for all of us.
Yeah. Since being married and being on YouTube, Khang does, he'll edit the videos on Sunday. And that's usually when I cook kind of lunches for the week. So I usually cook lunches for the week. And then I also do all the meal planning because I'm pickier than he is. And especially at the beginning of pregnancy, I was like, I only could eat certain things. Like I had to be like full control of the menu. He couldn't even eat anything that wasn't on like the approved list because it would be like, that smells disgusting. You need to move away. Like I can't be in there. Me in here.
Alex said if you're having a baby, you got to get a crock pot. So
we have
one.
We have a lot of like kitchen gadgets and things, and we don't use them nearly enough. Like we have a Instant Pot, a crock pot, a rice maker. We've got everything. But so we like to cook together. But most of the time it's just basically who's around, who cooks. But yeah, I'm always the one choosing the meals.
It's very strange because I grew up and I was like, I'm never going to get married. I'm not going to be tied to some man in some kitchen. And I married the one guy who cannot boil water. So, So I cook everything and he's the griller. I don't touch the grill because it's like propane and stuff. But yeah, we have the weirdest, we have the most traditional, I guess, gender specific, like split on this stuff. And I was like, I never thought this would happen. So he made mac and cheese. He made mac and cheese not too long ago. And you would have thought that he created a 7-course meal. He was so proud of himself. The funniest thing. He's like, look, you want some mac and cheese? He was like all excited. So I want to ask the chat too, while we talk about a couple of other things, while we're winding up for the night. I just want to ask you, who does the cooking in your house? Is it you? Is it your partner or spouse? Who does the cooking in your house? I'm just curious to find out like what the overall thing is. Is it me? Is it, is it them? Now, speaking of who does what, as far as YouTube, who does the editing on your YouTube? Because guys, you have got to see their channel. They have a thing at the end called bloops, and it's bloopers, and it's hilarious, and it's the cutest thing ever that it's called bloops. And then they also have like different portions of some of their regular videos where it's got, the community shout outs and things like that. So who does the editing on those, guys?
Yeah, I do the editing on that. I think that as far as the split of what the businesses are, Camilla's got the reselling business under her name, and I've got the YouTube business under my name. And we're not making a lot of money, so it's not really a business for YouTube yet. But she is the quality control person, where she does watch the videos, the I guess the draft before we render the videos.
Yeah. So I'll watch it, in the evening before we post it in the morning. But yeah, he does all the editing. I do not have the patience for that. Like, even like he'll be editing like near me, and I'm like, you have to put headphones in. I can't hear my voice like 10 times in a row. Like, I just can't do it. Like, it's too much for me. So I don't understand how he can do that, because it's like just takes so long, and you're just like watching yourself there. No, I can't do it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty fun.
You get sick of your own voice, I think. I do.
Yeah.
And my sister does my editing, and most of the time it's not even at my house. But like after like the first 2 or 3 times watching, I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even want to see me. I don't.
Yeah.
Carrie said, right. I tell Dana I get sick of her voice sometimes. I know it's not your fault. It's not your fault, man.
That's funny.
Let's see. Okay, so Allie said she taught Matt everything he knows. His second wife will thank me someday. Funny. Kimberly K. Chloe says definitely Nikki. Nikki is her dog, so I don't. That's frightening. My husband's parents never cooked. He was hopeless. Yeah, my husband's mother cooked so well, and his dad cooked well, but he just never learned. DoorDash does our cooking. That sounds expensive, Margaret.
Yeah.
Good for you. Janet said she went to culinary, or Bryn said she went to culinary school, but she has Janet do the cooking.
Oh, wow.
That's funny.
She said it's both, but mainly me. She don't tell Bryn. And Andrea said she and her husband both do it now. And Brent said your food tastes better, which probably. Chuck says you guys are awesome.
Hey, Chuck.
Hey.
Yeah, I know with Patrick Murphy. Hey, Chuck. Patrick Murphy, he does the most of the cooking in his house. And like I said, I don't want my husband anywhere near my stuff, my cool kitchen stuff. Like, get away from my stuff. Do you want me to go out and tinker with the riding lawnmower?
Yeah.
Well, you don't see me, you don't see me changing light bulbs or trying to unclog the toilet. Do your own thing. And it's weird that we just kind of fell into these like traditional roles because we're both kind of, we're both silly, sort of a little non-traditional people. But so we're at 7:57 now. What would be, I think we're going to wrap up with this question. What would your advice be to couples who are looking to resell and or start a YouTube channel together? What would be probably your main points of advice for them?
For the YouTube part, I think that reselling couples have kind of a something different to bring to the table, and I've always really loved duos. The Hoogs, Jack and Ryan, now Josh and Haley over at Harry Tornado. A lot of the duos that have a dynamic between them, that have banter back and forth. I think that it took us a little while to get there, but that's just something wildly different, a superpower almost, where compared to people who only are single content creators, or they only feature themselves, sometimes their spouse or whatever, that we have something that they don't, and it's just if you're going to do it, then kind of just bring yourselves, bring your personalities, really show what it was that kind of made you fall in love with one another, and really show that kind of in a organic way to the audience, where you're building, essentially goodwill and fun and all this other stuff that makes it relatable at the very least, where people can really see that they're investing time into the relationship and the journey, as well as the reselling content.
Yeah. And I think also with reselling, it's kind of similar, where you want to bring like each of your own gifts and your own interests and all of that. Like, I think what helps us be successful in reselling is that we know about different things. Like I have different interests and different kind of niches that I am really knowledgeable in versus Khang. And we follow a lot of YouTube creators and we watch different YouTube creators. So like he'll watch them and I'll watch them. And so we learn different things. And so that means that we have like double brain power in the thrift store and double eyes on everything.
Love that.
So that is a real strength of reselling couples. And that's something that you want to honor in your business as you begin. So as you're starting out, think about okay, what am I interested in and how does that differ from my partner? And then how can we use those things to be strengths of ours in our business?
I think people are thinking that Carrie and I are a couple. You do know she's my sister, right? I'm just saying, I'm married to somebody, but it's not my sister.
The banter that you guys have is
amazing,
really fun.
It's so
it makes your videos
fun.
More interesting too. So I do think there's a piece of that where you're a duo, you're a dynamic duo for sure.
On the screen, but your banter is top notch.
Yeah. Carrie, that's her decision. I keep trying to get her on the screen, and she's just not. That's not her. That's not her favorite place to be. But she will do it for me if I ask her to. But so I try not to ask her unless she's, unless I really, really need her there. But she seems to be have a lot more fun when she's not on the screen. So that's her preference, and I have to respect that.
Mhm.
Yeah, Chloe, she's my sister for realsies. So we're going to wrap this up tonight. And I just wanted to say thank you both so much for taking the time to be with me. I know that your schedules are insane. And so I appreciate it so much. Hi, Bama, you're so late. Don't worry, watch it.
Well, we're so
I
appreciative of
appreciate you
you.
so much.
Yes, thank you for inviting us. Thank you for inviting us. This
It's
is so
certainly
fun.
my pleasure.
We appreciate
Certainly
you so
my
much.
pleasure. One of my favorite couples. So guys, it's Camilla and Khang. Check out the Fi Resellers. They have a lot of really great advice on several different aspects. I can't talk on speaking English.
It's been an hour.
Yeah. And also they have really great advice on quilts. They really don't sleep on the quilts. They have really good insight into their reseller journey and their financial journey. And I think as resellers, a lot of us can really, really use those insights. And frankly, their videos are just hilarious fun, and they're absolutely charming. So thank you guys so much again for being here tonight. And thank you everybody in the chat for sticking around. We appreciate it. And please don't forget to hit that thumbs up.
Exactly.
So no matter whether you sell as a couple or sell as a person, never forget, don't you ever forget, Glamma loves you. And we're going to what?
We'll see you later.
Oh, bye.
Can I keep the passion burning?
Oh, keep that passion burning, y'all. Reselling is so tough sometimes, but you got to keep that passion burning.
Okay, Glamma loves you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
That was so much fun.